Ministry of Niger-Delta Affairs was created on September 10, 2008 by late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to promote and coordinate policies for the development, peace and security of the Niger-Delta region. However, the administration of President Bola Tinubu announced the scrapping of the ministry earlier last week, a development widely rejected by elder statesmen and Niger Nation leader Pa Edwin Clark and other leaders of the fourth largest ethnic group in Nigeria. The president of Niger National Congress, Professor Benjamin Okaba, has also described President Tinubu's decision as a deliberate attempt to further undermine the people of the Niger Delta. Let's have this conversation with Jonathan Lokpobiri, who is the president of the Youth Council. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jonathan. The Ministry of Niger-Delta Affairs, which was created in 2008 by late President Musa Yar'Adua to promote and coordinate policies for the development in the Niger-Delta region, is now being scrapped by the administration of President Bola Tinubu. We have seen a lot of pushbacks from that region already, including the other statesman, just as I mentioned earlier. I'd like to hear your thought as regards this development. What are your major concerns about this?
Thank you. The concerns we have around this policy decision is not just because it's been scrapped today. This attempt was even made earlier when this government took over. There was an attempt to scrap it even from the beginning, and that silence about the appointment of a minister to that ministry was, created some form of unrest before this was done. So with the decision that we have just seen, only underscores the fact that this was an attempt earlier mooted before today. But to state the position of our people clearly is that that ministry reminds us of the blood shed, the sacrifices made, the people that died, laid their lives for the peace and the little benefits of development we see in the Niger Delta. So scrapping that ministry on account of a rash policy decision without consultations, without communicating the purpose with the people of the Niger Delta is a choice of policy decision taken too far, in our opinion. Niger Delta may be peaceful today, but the elements that define our region, especially in the violent way it was known for, haven't all been settled. Issues defined our people then. Those issues have remained constant. The issues of environmental cleanup, the issues of development, the issues of human capital engagement, the issues of empowerment, the issues of peace in the Niger Delta, none have been said. Now, there are key issues regarding even the funding of the existing structures, which is the Niger Delta Development Commission and the Amnesty Program, which have been largely responsible for the peace we have in the region. Now, you owe NDDC over ₦1 trillion deliberately, so it can never meet its obligation and mandate to its people. You also underfund the amnesty program deliberately so that the program fails so you can scrap it. Now, the ministry that reminds us of the victories we had during those very bloody and dark days have been scrapped without any consultations with our people. I do think that this is a decision that must be reviewed. Now, the value of whether that ministry had met its purpose is a totally different game.
Okay, let me come in a little bit.
And the people.
Let me come in a little bit, Mr. Lokpobiri. I mean, given the deep historical tensions surrounding resource control and equal development across the region, some say that this move by this administration is a step forward in addressing long-standing grievances across the geopolitical zones, especially the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. Speak to us. This, of course, is what the president or some of the handlers of the president are saying. What's your position about this?
First, I don't have a problem with the president having to create or establish commissions across the country as a gift to people. But the question is, where will the funding of these multiple commissions come from? Regardless of how you intend to address people in order to create political solutions to certain decisions, funding is a fundamental issue. The entire funding of all of these commissions created as a gift to people will come from the same region that you are deliberately impoverishing. Today you have created Northeast Development Commission. For that, we're in tandem with it because it came historically as a way of addressing fundamental security issues within the North on account of the Boko Haram and then the insurgency. We can understand that. Just as Yaradua contemplated and then established the Ministry of the Niger-Delta to address the core issues as part of solving the environmental, the human capital development, and then the issues of peace. Today, what are they creating commissions here and there for, without adequately providing the means that will fund all of this? Do they want to just create them and then keep them as helpless as NDDC or the amnesty program? So if a president that desires the development of our president, yes, even development at all parts of our country is good for our nation. But the question is, where will the funding come from? Is it not the same country that doesn't have enough resources to even invest in exploration activities that will produce more oil and gas for export? Today, they cannot even keep up with their obligations. But you are expanding government to accommodate more people, creating commissions that will demand, put more pressure on the same government that doesn't have resources enough. And this is part of the reasons why subsidies have been removed from virtually everything, from electricity, from gas, from oil, and then the Nigerians are the ones bearing the greatest brunt of this. So I do think that if government policies is intended to address the key needs of our people, you cannot drive people into poverty.
I hear
One
you,
of
Mr.
the ways I
Lokpobiri,
know how governments work is that.
So you have said that this should have been thought through. What are your recommendations? What proposal are you putting on the table? What are you expecting now? Of course, you talked about the fact that the region is still being, affected, impacted by environmental impact and all of that. Speak to us. What exactly are you putting on the table and present to Mr. President and say, look, yes, even though you have scrapped the Ministry of Niger-Delta, this exactly is what we're looking for, and we want you to deliver it. What are those things that you want to present to the president?
In my opinion, nations have never been able to rise to the level of their goals alone without systems. But rather, nations fall to the level of their systems put in place. Nigeria needs strong institutions and systems that can implement the policies of government for the good of all. Today, these policies somersaults, just as the last administration had done, that has crippled every hope, creating the Japa syndrome and all of this, is still rife here. My recommendation is that the institutions that we have today need to be deliberately made stronger than the individuals who are heading them. Now, the NDDC today is completely underfunded. Amnesty, we have continued to cry that if Niger-Delta boils again, Nigeria will be at the receiving end. These institutions that are already in existence need to be funded and monitored to implement policies that are already been considered. This is the best way, in my opinion, things to go. Every nation I know across the world subsidizes one form of something that enables the living standard of the people. But today, virtually everything Nigerians pay for it, including security, including power, including light, everything. So if Nigerians are not paying for all of these things, you cannot tell Nigerians that there's no money. That is why those that have given them succor, transportation that used to be from like 15,000 to Abuja is around 45,000 by road. Today, flight to Abuja, because of subsidy removal, aviation fuel is not available, flights are now 200,000, and people are even planning to increase more. Nigerians can't continue to bleed in an account of enduring to see whether there will be a miracle in a government. The the sincerity in terms of government policies needs to regenerate hope. Hopelessness breeds chaos. And a lot of people are likely to be driven into crimes just to survive. So as part of this thing is that President Tinubu needs to communicate with people, especially sensitive places like the Niger-Delta. You cannot just scrap at people's something that reminds them of their historical struggles, just on account of trying to accommodate more people. A minister that has not even been able to sit with his own people. You have now made him like a mini president.
Okay, we just have to leave it there. Thank you so much. We'll further this conversation some other time. Jonathan Lokpobiri, the president of Ijaw Youth Council, thank you for coming on the News Now.